What is going on, you guys? My name is Cody Thixton, and this is a Justine podcast coming to you guys on November 7th, 2023 for episode 78, where today we have another very, very special guest. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Let's get right into this. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to bring to you guys Zeb Saint One.
Hey, what's good? How's it going, bro?
Oh, man, it is an absolute pleasure to have you, man. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Yeah, man, pleasure being on, dude.
All right, well, maybe if we can start out for everybody who maybe doesn't know you, maybe introduce your name, where you're from, and how long you've been in pro wrestling.
My name is Zeb Saint One. I am the ring vandal, the queer criminal. I'm from Parkland, Washington, born and raised. I stay up in Seattle now. I've been training wrestling about 6 years and in ring about 4. With pandemic and all that, you know how that works, you know.
Yeah, that is insane. That is so awesome. So it was around like 2019 that you initially went into training.
Yeah, around 2017 I started training. Yeah, 2019, January 25th, had my first match.
Okay, cool.
Right at the beginning of the year,
Yeah, so like where were you actually trained at?
First place I trained at was at 321 Battle in Seattle. Was there for about a little over a year, 13 months or so before I got my debut there. It's a cool spot, RIP.
That is really cool. So like how long have you like been into professional wrestling? Like what was your first experience with it?
Oh, okay. So my first memory of professional wrestling, I was 4 years old. It had to have been between like September and January, right after Goldberg debuted and before Shawn Michaels got his big injury. Because I remember seeing Shawn Michaels do a top rope elbow drop, and then my brother switched over the channel and saw Goldberg hit a spear and a jackhammer. And my brother decided to try a jackhammer on me, and that's the first time I broke my arm from professional wrestling.
Wow. That is crazy.
So it was a good one. So from then on out, it was only watching wrestling after my mom went to sleep because it was banned in our household.
Oh, that is awesome. So like did you like both continue to actually like wrestle each other like as you guys were growing up?
Oh yeah. After that, I mean, he kind of got out of it and never fell back in. And I never really like fell out completely. There were times like, you know, teenage years or whatever where, you know, you're too cool for it type stuff. But yeah, it was less wrestling and more just my big brother trying to whoop my ass. But
oh, that is awesome. Well, let's start to talk a little bit more about your training at 321 Battle. So like what was your mindset as you were going into training? Like were you fully mentally prepared for what you were getting yourself into?
Not really. I mean, I kind of went into it on a whim. I went to I had a friend invite me to a Raw in Portland, and then went there and was just like, this looks fun. Found training in Seattle and was kind of just gonna try a free class, you know, just whatever type thing. Wasn't taking it too serious. And then first class was fun, second class was fun, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this now. So I started taking it seriously a few months into it. And yeah, you might think you're prepared for wrestling, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't find out until it kind of comes up, you know?
Yeah. That is so awesome. So it's like when you were going throughout your entire training, who was somebody that like really influenced you or maybe really had your back as to tell you exactly the rules or what to expect from professional wrestling?
The first person that really like gave me that kind of rundown a few months in, once I got to like the like advanced classes was Ethan HD. He ran those there, so he was the first kind of person to like give me that rundown early on in training.
Mhm.
After a while, Caden Cassidy became kind of that, and he's still kind of who I go to for a lot of things. Chris Ross and Dave Turner, who I trained with now at Dragonplex, had my second match ever with Dave, and he's helped a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
Kind
definitely
of
have to get
show the
into.
ropes. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to get into Caden Cassidy in a little bit.
Oh yeah, boy.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up to you was Chris Brady, and I saw that video the other week, and like, did you guys like actually like go to like school together and whatnot?
Yeah, first time we both grew up in Parkland, Washington, like I said. First time we met, we were probably like 11, 12 years old in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
Keithley Middle School. So if you saw him like in that, like I'm guessing the one where he's driving around the neighborhood type thing, like
Yeah.
that's around where we grew up. So yeah, we've known each other for forever. Yeah.
That is so crazy. So it's like how is it, I guess, performing with somebody to whom like you've known for such a period of time, and like you've both grown as not only people but as professional wrestlers.
hmm So like we weren't like we knew each other forever. We weren't like best friends until we kind of found out like when we got older we were both really into wrestling. So we were
Mm.
like kind of like kept into contact as to like I'm starting this. Oh, I'm starting this. So we moved back up here. I think he would train first in Vegas and then he came up here, and when he first came up we met up, went to a gym and rolled around a little bit, and since then we've been real tight friends. And it's one of those things when you're performing with someone you've known forever that you've probably heard you hit your best friends harder. And that was completely true. We beat the shit out of each other the other day. uh, but no, it's really cool to see someone like how much growth he's had in this period of time, and I'm kind of on my way up there too. So it's cool seeing that side by side.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there okay, so check this out. So I've kind of like brought this up with like previous wrestlers as far as like people kind of being made fun of because of the fact that you're into professional wrestling. So was there anybody to whom like you have known in the past that has kind of made fun of you for wanting to get into professional wrestling, but then you actually met them again and was like, I'm a professional wrestler and was able to, you know?
So I was kind of on the down low about how much I liked wrestling when I was a teenager. So I didn't have a
Yeah.
lot of that like middle school, high school getting made fun of for it type thing. I've
Yeah.
had a few people who I knew back then since I got into wrestling who are kind of like, bro, what are you doing? Like you're wrestling dudes in their underwear. Like what's going on here? But it's kind of just like, all right, well, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
So there's been some of that, but for the most part, I haven't gotten much. But just like, oh, that's cool. Do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one thing that I was talking with Jack Hammer about was he kind of brought up when I had asked him like what he thought was holding professional wrestling back. And so it's like, is there anything to you that is maybe like in that same spectrum as far as like what you think is holding professional wrestling from being as popular as it was in the 90s?
I don't know. I think we're starting to get the formula down more so than ever. I think social media has really pushed it. I mean, obviously, but like wrestling's in a better spot than I think it really ever has been. People are drawing everywhere. There's indies popping off everywhere. Uh, Ratings for TV, no matter how much you see people online arguing about it and saying stupid stuff, they're, you know, getting higher ratings than they have in 15, 20 years. So I I don't have an answer to that because I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, put me on TV more, that might help it. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
that
just,
is
that's just
awesome.
ego though. Put me on, I'll make the show better.
All right. Well, here's an interesting question. So it's like, as far as your overall character, um, I know when I was talking with Jaden, it was kind of like you have to take certain aspects of certain characters and incorporate
Hmm.
that into yours, and then you have to take certain personality traits that you have, and then that's when you can develop your overall character. So, what are your personality traits that you like to bring to the ring as far as your overall character?
Um, as far as me, I kind of take like less like who I am in my actions and stuff, and more so like I try to be someone completely different who I'm not because Zeb Newman isn't the wrestler. Zeb Saint One is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like the graffiti thing that comes from I did graffiti for 10 plus years. Like so I decided like this is something no one else is doing, and if someone else is, then they don't have like the actual background with it to make it work the way I can. Um, Personality traits though, like I kind of just go out there and do what I think Zeb Saint One would do in that situation, not Zeb Newman.
Yeah.
And I take some of like those things from people I knew growing up, uh, just like way you'd see people react in an unhinged way or like in the wrong way. A lot of the time is how I try to uh, make my actions because I'm not supposed to be the one who's thinking straight. You know what I mean?
So here's a question. So like when you were actually able to use your real name, like what conversation, like how did that come up? Like did they try and incorporate another character on you other than what you were trying to do?
Well, my first character, I don't know if you knew this, from 321 was called Jesus Christ Jr. So I was the son of Jesus. And it was a full gimmick, full comedy character. I did a whole lot of stupid water into wine, or little like I'm gonna walk on water, and then I just put a case of water on the ground and walk on it. Uh, it was fun. It was actually really fun. But when I like started to get into doing my own thing, I had a few people kind of like say like, "Oh, well, you should do a name that's completely different. Don't put your own name into it." Um, but I was kind of like, well, I have a unique name already, so why would I be like, oh yeah, I'm Greg when my name's already unique? Like
Hmm.
I feel like I have the type of name that a wrestler would change their name to. Why would I change it from?
Yeah. Yeah. That is so interesting. Well, let's start to talk about Death Threat a little bit. And I know when I've gone through a little bit of your guys' history, like you've had Nathan Fox and Caden Cassidy. So like when did that
Mhm.
whole trio kind of form?
So first started me and Nate. Nate, by the way, I've known him since 321 Battle Days, way back in 2019. I think we met 2018, something like that. And he's been working his ass off forever, so I'm stoked that he's starting to pop off, and I get to work alongside him. It first started at 5cc. They put when it was still me and Chris is the wrong side. They put uh, Nate in there as a trio. So for our first few matches, me and Nate were the wrong side, but we decided, you know, we should switch it up, be our own thing. Came up with Death Threat, came up with our own like vibe and everything we want to do. That's kind of different from the original idea that was kind of given to us. Um, and Caden came along a few months down the line at DOA. They put us together there. He's kind of always been, like I said earlier, like mentor type thing, someone who I've always been talking to. Um,
Yeah.
and he wanted to be a part of that, and he wanted to be there to kind of like help us and guide us. So he got in there, and yeah, now he's kind of helped getting us to that next level.
That is so cool. So like what would you say in your own words that each member brought to that trio that really made it work?
So definitely Nate, big powerhouse. Like, dude's like surprisingly athletic. He's got a hell of a drop kick. Like, you wouldn't expect that, big thick boy to get off the ground like he does. Um, and like just that like stoic, mean, you don't want to fuck with this guy type thing. And then Caden on kind of that same hand, the big powerhouse, but he's like the big boss, what he's done type thing. So he kind of brings more of like a legitimacy to us. And then I'm the shit talker, the one who's gonna kind of do the dirt. I'm gonna be in your face about it. I'm gonna let Nate knock you down and then come in after and stomp you out type thing. So that's kind of our vibe.
That is so awesome. Well, like before we kind of get into 5cc a little bit, like what would be like your number one promo that like you felt the most comfortable with, where you were like, I really like drove that home?
The last 5cc one I did, honestly, I think the one where I was standing in front of a train and I was talking about how, I've been at this place since day one and I'm coming after Caden, who is, like my mentor, and I'm going to take his ass down. Like that one I really felt, yeah, I that's top of the line right there. I had a few really fun Jesus Jr. ones back in the day, just because I could do some dumb shit with that. That was I did one like a promo battle with Drexel. That was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was the final 5cc show for you? Like, can you kind of walk us through that day and like what you were thinking going into that show?
That was for sure an emotional day for everyone. I was on their first show. I was one of the, I think, like second or third match on their first show. So yeah, going into it, like it was one of those that doesn't hit you until you walk in and you're setting up the ring and you're like, this is the last time I'm going to be doing this type deal. That was kind of like the overall vibe, was just being, everyone was grateful that they were part of it. And there were some people there who were there for the first time who kind of like had that feeling. It was just the feeling in the air, and they commented like, hey, I can tell that this meant a lot to you. It's like, yeah, this place really did. Yeah. And knowing that I got to be in the main event of their last show, that was a blessing. That one was wild to me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. How did it also feel to like kind of be in that act where you like after Max Burnside had won the 5cc championship, you kind of grabbed it and was like, no, like, I'm not giving it to you. And then, obviously like being in the ring as, everybody was holding him up as the final 5cc champion.
That was, I think I'm kind of happy for where I got to have my vantage point of that, if that makes sense. Like, I was a guy I just got taken from, so I had to be on the outside, but I got to watch this kind of from where the fans were,
Yeah.
Like if I was part of it, obviously that would have been great to, get to go and hold up Max, congrats to my boy for, being the last champion. But like from where I got to see it, I think it was, I got to take it in from a different perspective, and that was really cool for me.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, I was like scrolling throughout a little bit of your history, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw a title in which like was that the 5cc championship?
Yeah, only title I've ever held. Yep, for
Okay.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, can you kind of like walk us through that story?
That was kind of just like from the Booker Logan. He called me one day, or Caden called me first and was like, hey, just had a conversation with Logan. He's about to, call you with some good news. I was like, all right, kind of cryptic, but whatever. And so Logan called me a few minutes later and was like, hey, you've been here since day one. You've put a lot of work in here. That was the place where I had my first match after dropping Jesus Jr. and all that. And he was like, I want to put the title on you, even if it's just for a few minutes, and then have the moment of Max finally cashing in, big babyface moment. He's like, I think you're the guy that can really make that moment bigger by being just the asshole heel that brings everyone down at the end of the night. They think they're going to go home mad, and then Max's music hits. uh, yeah, so that was one of those like, oh damn, like I'm kind of seeing the fruits of my labor type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Um,
that was really cool. That was a fun match. I'm still grateful for that one.
yeah. Well, here's an interesting question. So I know when I was again interviewing Jack Hammer, he had kind of talked about how like there's some set of nerves that goes along with going into a company in which maybe you don't know certain people or know how they want to perform and having to coordinate with them. Have you ever felt that like throughout your career, and can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
In the last year or so, I've done a lot more traveling than I have before. I went to Vegas a couple times. I went to LA for Mania Week. I did Chicago a couple weeks ago, and everywhere kind of has like a little bit of a different way they run things, whether it be the way that the booker or promoter like lays things out to you, or how much like not exactly restrictions, but how many like bullet points they'll give you to like we want you to do all these things. Some people are just like go do your thing. Some people are like we want this here, we want you to do this at the end. So there's definitely a different kind of like you got to feel it out. You have to like see what everyone wants, and not go in there like this is the way I do it. So you're gonna, it's like that's not our job. Our job is kind of be told what we're gonna do, and then put our flair and our artistic touch onto it.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
never had any like negative experience with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so interesting. Well, like, was there ever a experience in which maybe like exceeded your expectations? Like when you had walked in, you were expecting yourself to be able to perform at this level, but you didn't know that it was going to get over as much as it did as you were sitting there performing.
Yeah, actually, in Chicago a few weeks ago at Second Wrestling, we performed at like this little like blacklight boxing club that had glow in the dark paint all over the wall. So they did like black lights, and it was really cool. It was awesome. But like because there was graffiti all over the wall, I was like, "Yo, this is my thing. Let me catch a tag on the wall." So I came out, I did a tag on the wall, and kind of like did a little like what to the crowd type thing. And they got right off the bat like, oh fuck this guy, and went in and had a really good match with this dude named Dex Royal. In that one, I think I was very very pleasantly surprised about how everything went, and the crowd got it immediately. You never know going into a new place, like it could be you get zero reaction, they just don't care about anything you're doing, and like that place they got it right off the bat.
Yeah. That is so cool. So like maybe if I can kind of start to talk to you about a little bit about like performing in the ring. So it's like how was it as a professional wrestler to be like how we had just talked about kind of coordinating matches. But then you also have to anticipate those moves to be performed. So how is it standing in the ring and having to anticipate when something is going to happen?
So kind of just like you mean like as far as like someone's timing, or just
Yeah,
knowing
yeah,
I have
like
to do these things and preparing my mind for it.
yeah, so like if you're like facing the opposite direction of your opponent and then like maybe like they want to turn you around, quickly, but you're supposed to be, interacting with the crowd, like anticipating that segment to come up.
Oh, I think a lot of that's kind of just like you got to feel out what the crowd's doing, feel out what your opponent's doing. Like you said, if I'm playing to the crowd like as a heel or whatever, and the
Mhm.
baby face is behind me waiting for something to happen, it's kind of just like we're both feeling out when is going to be the best time. Either we're waiting for the crowd to be up for the to move into the next thing, or we're waiting for them to go down to move into the next thing. But
Yeah,
it's a collaborative process for sure of like when are we going to do this thing, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, there's it's different with everyone. A lot of people move, some people move quicker than others. Some people move slower. So I might be moving faster into a thing where they're trying to move slower. and then it's just a matter of like you got to feel it out and bring it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know one thing I was bringing up with Delmi EXO was her kind of like having to work towards the crowd and like really she had to try. And so like was there that kind of experience with you where maybe like the fans like weren't connecting, but then maybe like you really had to push your character for it to really be understood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few times, more so when I'm like working babyface, where I'm kind of like trying to get the crowd up, where I've kind of had to more single out people. You know, like I'll make eye contact with people in the front row and kind of like try to bring people in personally, rather
Mhm.
than like play to the entire room, which you know you want to reach the people in the back. So a lot of the time you play to those people, and so you're really working to the entire room, but a lot of times you have to break it down and like find these people who you want to bring into it and pull into it who might not be coming in naturally. So there's been a few times where I've had to you know go out, and if I'm selling on the floor or whatever, I'm looking them in their eyes, I'm reaching out to them, I'm using their like legs to climb up while I'm like giving them like the help me type, you know what I mean? There's times where you kind of have to do that, but like not pander. You know what I mean? Not like try so hard to where it's like, hey guys, please like me, please clap for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like with like connection with that, like how much does it mean to you whenever you kind of look out into the crowd or even see, posts of people like wearing your merchandise and just wanting to like spread the word? Like how does that feel to you as a professional wrestler?
It always feels like uh like my work matters. That's always a good feeling. Like I'm not just doing this just to do it, and like we do it because we love it. We do it for ourselves a lot of the time, but as performers and as business people, we want to see the things working out the way that they should, or that we think they should. We want to see people putting us over. We want to see people wearing our merch. So when that happens, it's always like a job well done. You know, I really am. I do what I do because I love it, but I do it because I like seeing people happy. I like as corny as that fucking sounds, but I really like seeing looking out in the
No.
crowd and seeing like it could be just as easy that all these people could be at home sulking, being sad about whatever's happening in their life, but they're out here enjoying what we're doing, and that really brings a gratifying feeling.
Yeah.
Or if like specifically if I do like a move that pops the crowd or something like that, that's like a hell yeah, we got him, brother.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, I actually found it like really interesting, and maybe it's something that you can explain to us. It was the whole story of not only when you and Chris Brady started tag teaming together, but when you actually had to turn on him. So, like, how did that whole process start out and end?
So first off, in DOA, this was early last year. I was kind of doing the thing where I was trying out different tag team partners there, seeing what would work, and then had him come in. And then at that point, that's like we finally got the win, finally helped me out type thing. Um, and then we just got to work together and do what we talked about. Since we've both known we were into wrestling. We talked about like we want to at least at some point tag team. We want to work matches together. We want to like blow up together. We got a little taste of that. Like that was cool. So for a year and a half or so, we teamed together there, and it kind of just came to the point where it's like we are ready to go our separate ways. He's blowing up doing single stuff. I'm uh, teaming with Nate and doing death threat stuff and also doing other single stuff. So like it's kind of the time where it's like let's break apart here. And so
Yeah.
that for me, I don't know if you could tell when I hit him with the chair, laid him out, put the roses on him. I was for real emotional. Like I for real shed a tear on that one because it's like end of an era type thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So like who came up with the whole like placing the roses on Brady's chest?
That's Caden. That's Caden. That's kind of his that's going to be the calling card. Watch out for that more in the next few months. Keep an eye on DOA.
That is so awesome. So like can you kind of like walk us through a little bit of like maybe a really interesting and intense conversation that you may have had with Chris Brady that really drove you guys to just really get connected when it comes to pro wrestling?
I think that time where, like I told you, like we just kind of met up at a gym and then rolled out some mats and rolled together, and kind of like at that point we could tell that we both knew what we were doing and we were both good and we were both going to get better. But at that time we kind of talked and we were like, yo, like not a lot of people where we're from are doing much of anything, you know, like where we grew up was not the best area in the world. So tons of people we went to high school with are now, you know, a lot of people alcoholics, a lot of people on drugs, a lot of people doing stuff like that, which is, you know, it's unfortunate and it's nothing against people doing things like that, but it's something that like being around it so much, we kind of had to find a way out of. And we've had that talk of like, we want to put on for Parkland and we want to put on for this place we grew up in, you know,
Yeah.
kind of show that we made it out as corny as that sounds. And side note on that, other notable people from Parkland, Washington, Demetrius Johnson, former UFC and one champion, and Jack Evans, who that's top of me and Brady's list. Someone let me fight Jack Evans, me, Chris Brady, and Jack Evans in a Parkland fucking triple threat. Make it happen. But yeah, on that one, yeah, that going back to the conversation, like we just kind of talked about, like we want to like make it out of this, and we're for sure on our way doing that.
That is so cool. So like can you kind of tell us maybe like an overall like goosebump moment where like maybe you were looking from the like how you had brought up earlier, like kind of seeing it from the fans' perspective? Was there ever a moment from being backstage where you kind of got goosebumps watching a match?
I wasn't backstage, but this Sunday at DOA when the Flaming Aces won the tag team championships from the Hammer Brothers, that's the most recent example. That one was like all the boys in the crowd just popping for you know, Aces finally making it happen, which they have deserved for forever. Like seeing that happen and like yeah, that's the most recent one. That one was crazy.
That is so awesome. So, like, can you kind of walk us through exactly maybe what had happened for all of the people who weren't able to see it on IWTV about what happened against you and Chris Brady this past Sunday?
So this past Sunday was the end of a good, you know, 5-6 month feud and 18 years of history between me and Chris. We did a street fight at DOA Pro Wrestling in Portland. Beat the hell out of each other. Both came out of it bloody messes. Had some help from Nate, backfire. Had some help from Caden, backfire. And came out taking the L on that one. But we got to have, you know, like a match that we talked about. We're gonna, you know, we always wanted to have a big moment like that, and we got to have it together.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I know you had like posted and like you had kind of like little cuts like going throughout your face. And something I wanted to ask you was like, so even like going up against the ropes or taking whatever moves, like there's like certain like redness that comes onto, you know, the body when you're actually taking all of these moves. And it's something that I feel like people don't understand unless you actually watch it at a consistent basis. And it's so interesting to wonder like how it is as a professional wrestler putting your body on the line and then having those marks or those things come up that are very, very much painful. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, half the time I don't know where the hell like a mark came from. Like I'll find a bruise on my leg somewhere, and I'm like, when did I get hit in the leg? Like I came out Sunday. I don't know if you can see, but I got a little black eye, and it's like, when did I get hit in the eye?
Mhm.
Like I know I was like bleeding from up here. I got hit in the forehead super hard, and I got cut up there. But like, when did I get hit in the eye? But it's one of those risks. Like you know what you're getting into. Like if I'm going out there and we got chairs and thumbtacks and ladders and shit, like I know what's gonna happen. I'm not like you can't be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go out and have a street fight. Oh, why am I bruised? Yeah, we know what's up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is so cool. Well,
Yeah, you just got to
something,
prepare for it.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to bring up with you your 5cc match with Darwin Finch, and there was
Oh yeah.
this, yeah, there was this like really specific moment where Darwin Finch was kind of trying to do this like over the top tope, and then his legs
Ooh,
like caught up on the top of the rope, and he just went down like straight,
oh, that shit was
and
terrifying.
like, yeah, you were like laying there on the ground, and then obviously the referee came around, but it's like when you were laying there and you were expecting him to come up and execute this move, what was going through your mind as you saw his body just slam onto the ground?
Oh shit! No, bro, no. No. Like I said before, it's something that like it's a risk you take. Like you know what you're getting into, and things like that happen. Darwin knew, like, after, he was cool. Like we were on the ground, it's like, hey, you good, bro? You good? You good? All right, let's go. And so like
Yeah,
after it happened, Darwin remained super professional. Was like, let's keep going, and then immediately had to jump off the top rope and hit the mat after that. So, yeah, Darwin's a tough as hell. Darwin's tough as hell.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when you're watching that though and you're seeing it happen, it's always like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I saw the referees go up and like kind of like tap him a little bit, you know, I was like, okay, he's good. But it's like, how is that also like going throughout those experiences and then, having or expecting the referees to come up and kind of even touch your hand a little bit just to see if you're okay.
Um, so it's kind of just like a lot of like if it's happening to me, it's kind of just like self assessing. Like, am I good? Like, can I move everything? Am I all right? I've had a few moments like that where like that same match actually, I did a moonsault and came down and landed straight on my hip, and I had to have a
Mhm.
moment of like, hey, tell them to do some other stuff for a second. Let me get my hip back. Um, so there's stuff like that where you got to just kind of self assess. If it's someone else, then I'm like, we're supposed to move into something. Then you just take that moment to let it breathe and like see if they're good. The ref will come over, tell you what's up most of the time. So it's just
Yeah.
like wrestling's like, you know, any time that you take in between things is usually a good thing. Like slow the pace down or whatever. And the crowd doesn't know that we were supposed to move right into something. So if we got to take an extra minute to do something, it's good.
Yeah. So like how is that kind of like doing like that cross body? Because I think that's what I saw in the match. You were kind of outside the ring, and then you did a cross body into the group that were up against the chairs. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that was supposed to be a moonsault. I just went off to the side on that one. That was my fault. Yeah, I just did not execute that move well. Um, yeah, no, I just came down. I just came down hard on the ground. That was on me. Like I said, I executed the move not perfectly and was supposed to come out straight, and I went to the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Is it
happens.
like
I mean, it's wrestling.
is it weird kind of like facing like the outside of the ring and then facing like a bunch of chairs and like not really knowing how you're gonna land or whatnot?
It's always nerve wracking. It's like you expect people to be there, obviously, because like I'm going into a group of people, but on that one I jumped outside of the group of people. So I was expecting to be caught and then just hit the ground. So it's always nerve wracking. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Most times you come down great. The people are there to catch you and everything. But no, it's always that just like, fuck it, we ball moment. Like I'm going. You can't hesitate now.
Oh, that is awesome. I also saw like in that match that you had actually taken a uranagi to the like the post, not post, but like the edge of the ring.
Yeah, right
And
on
that's
the
supposed to
apron.
be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, like one of the hardest
The
parts
hardest
of the
part of the
ring.
ring, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
so it's like go ahead.
Those are that hurts more than if it was in the middle of the ring. But Darwin got me flat. I went up high enough for it. Got me down flat.
Hmm.
Normal day at the office.
That is awesome. Well, okay. Well, here's a question. So, as you're going throughout all of these different companies and you're working for different producers or producers of matches, was there ever a time in which you felt pressure from the producer as compared to who you're performing with?
It's never really like I've never felt like pressure per se. I'm not one of those people who like I'll pitch things and I'll give my ideas, but I'm not one of those people who like I don't get married to what I think it should be. I don't run the companies. I don't pay myself. I don't put on production. I don't got the pencil in my hand. I don't make the books. So I kind of just go in and I'm like, this is what you want me to do. Let's do it. I feel like that's one of the biggest parts of being a professional wrestler is being a professional. And if a booker tells me, hey, this is what we want you to do for the night, who am I to say, oh no, it doesn't. It's not gonna work for me, brother. Like I'm gonna go in and do it. There's been times where like you do things where you don't necessarily want to do them, or you don't see like the storyline going this way, or you think if we did it, this way, I had my idea, it might be better or whatever. But it's not ever pressure. It's just like you know their idea is what we're going with. All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And up here,
Okay.
people like promoters and producers are like they don't like they're not hard ass about things. I haven't run into someone who's you know my way or the highway. It's really collaborative effort from 99% of people up here.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a interesting question. So, like, out of everybody here in the Pacific Northwest to whom you've worked with, who is somebody that you
I've
would
worked with a few of them too.
who would you say would be the person that you look most up to as far as advice or anything that they say?
I've gotten some really, really good advice. Like I said, from Caden, put him over enough. Sorry, bro. Caden Drexel is always a wealth of knowledge. Drexel's helped me out a ton. Um, he's one of those people like he he tries to get a seminar every month for DOA, and if there isn't someone there to do a seminar, he'll put one on. So he's always there for younger talent, and he's always there to give people advice. Drexel's the fucking man. Jaden, I've gotten a lot of advice from him. Max Burnside, gotten a lot of advice from him. Um, like I said, Chris Ross and Dave Turner, I've learned a lot from them. There's so many people that like have been around the block, especially around here, and they kind of know how things work around here in the Northwest. That there's been a ton of help there.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So, like, what can we expect as fans from the future of Zeb Saint One?
Uh, I am right now. I'm trying to build. Like that's where I'm at now. Like I've been in a building phase for a good 2 years now, and I'm trying to just keep progressing and keep moving to more places and bigger places and work bigger names and do all that. But that's kind of everyone's goal, right?
Mhm.
But I just want to do what promoters want me to do. I want to put on a good show and be reliable, and I want to, you know, just keep going with the things that I'm doing and progress them. You can expect a lot more queer criminal type shit coming up in the future. We're really I'm taking that one and I'm running with that. So expect to see some new cool fun things with that coming up. Expect to see more Death Threat. Peak Pro Wrestling. Expect to see the new nation. We got a lot of young people who are training at Dragonplex who are going to start coming up there. Lucy Lux, Zelda Fox, Christian X, Blackheart Ren. A lot of people who you're going to see working with us up there. So yeah, putting on for me and putting on for our young talent is the main goal.
That is so awesome. All right. Well, before we actually end up closing everything out, I just want to ask you, like, what does professional wrestling like mean to you, like as a person? Like, how does it feel for you to be able to perform?
It feels like one of those things where like you're like, man, 12-year-old me would think I'm cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like if I was 16 looking at like what's 30-year-old Zeb doing? Like I'd be like, hey, I'm doing some pretty cool stuff. Like my shoot job is something that I was super into growing up. Obviously I've loved wrestling my whole life, so being able to just like look at all these things that I'm doing and being like, it's not as bad as it seems sometimes. You know what I mean? We all have bullshit in life. We all got, I got multiple mental illnesses that I'm dealing with on the daily, just bullshit happening. But like, you can really take a step back and be like, I'm doing some cool stuff. Like, I'm happy with myself that I'm able to do wrestling, and wrestling's been one of those things that like I can hang my hat on for confidence. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this if I wasn't doing something right. You know what I mean? Like wrestling does not need me. Wrestling wants me, which is great. Like that's a great feeling. Like I don't need, there's no obligation for anyone to do anything for me. No obligation for anyone to book me. But the fact that they do is something I can be like, I'm doing something right. I'm doing good. I can do better, but I'm doing good.
That is freaking awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to just sit down with you for a little while and just know who Zeb Saint One is.
Yeah, dude, I had fun. It was good talking to you, bro. For sure.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a very, very good night, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I hope to see you too, man. Hey, one more plug. At Zeb Saint One, Twitter or X, whatever the fuck. At Zeb Saint One, Twitter, Instagram. Check out whatever me and Nate Fox are doing. Heels for Hire at DOA. Keep updated. Buy my merch. I got some fire right now. All right.
All right, bro. Have a good night.
Hey, you have a good
one. All right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Zeb Saint One. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And remember, go and follow Zeb Saint One at Zeb Saint One on Twitter. I will be back later on this month with some more interesting podcast interviews. I'll catch you guys later.